All right. Today I'm going to show how I format my comic book TREP into the Webtoons format for online viewing. So I've got my comic laid out here in InDesign, and what I've done is I kind of put a little red dot on the top of a page showing where I'm going to break an episode. So this comic book is going to have 4 episodes, and so page 5, that's going to start episode 2. That's kind of what that is. So what I do is I have my file with the comic book here, and then I have a file that I made for Webtoons here, and I'll start it with about 10 pages, and I pre-laid out my end page and my home front page. And what I like to do is, well, here, I'll show you what the document setup. I've got it at 800 by 1000 pixels for the board size. And so let's see. So I basically got I've got 4 layers, but this dark background layer is when I have dark background, so kind of ignore that one. So artwork goes on one layer, word balloons goes on a layer, and then I have this live area, which I basically put these 2 gray boxes on, and so like you can see, it kind of just gives me a zone of where I want to lay out my panels within this page. And then if you're familiar with Webtoons, these pages just run straight into each other. And you scroll down when you're reading. So I want to make sure that there's a little bit of space in between each panel going from page to page, and that's kind of how I set this up this way. Okay, so basically what I do is I start off the page, each episode, with the last panel from the previous episode, and then it gets into the title here, and then it'll go to the first panel of this current episode. And let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I'll do is so this is the last panel from last episode. We're starting on this panel. So I'm going to go unlock my I'm going to unlock my artwork layer, and I'm going to lock everything else. And then I'm going to grab this artwork file, which in my case is a PSD Photoshop file. And I can't paste it in. Let me go here. Okay, let's paste it in. All right. And what I'm going to do is resize this so it just grabs one panel. And then I'll resize it first to this gray box, and I like to center them within the gray sometimes. If I turn on my guides, I have further gutters and columns to help me lay out other smaller panels, but I usually don't turn that on all the time. So what I'm going to do is I like the new scenes to kind of go edge to edge here, so I scale that up, and then what I'll do is I'll add a 3-point black outline, and then I zoom in, and I just want to make sure that I get the black outline right on the edge there, because I don't want to lose the black outline in the viewer. Okay. All right. And then I'll go ahead and just kind of try and center that within the gray box. All right, so there's panel 1. And then what I'll do is I'll hold Option, and I'll make a copy of this and bring it down to the second section here. And then with this direct selection tool, I come in and you can click and drag and just move to the next panel, and then go back to the selection tool, and then I can resize. I'm probably going to go a little fast here, and then resize this panel to fit like that. Okay, and so you see how this panel is bigger than the gray box. So what I'm going to do is I hold down Shift and Command on the Mac, and then I'll drag, and that sizes the whole panel like that. And I'm going to undo that. And if I just hold Shift and scale, it does that, which is not what I wanted. So Shift and Command, and then we'll scale it down. Okay, but when I do that, it actually changes my line outline from 3 points to, in this case, 2.376. So I just knocked that back up to 3 after I've resized it. And then depending on what I want to do, I can either flush left, I can push it over here, flush right, or I can center it, and you can see the guide popped up there. So for now, I'm just going to center it in there and then move to the next page. So I'm going to hold my Option again and click and drag, and that's going to give me a whole new box. Again, back over here to Direct Selection tool, move like that, and then back over to, I'm going a little faster, go back over to Selection tool, and then I'm going to grab that like that, and this looks a little thick here, so yeah, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that. All right, and so let's line that up here, and this bounces because I'm using a Wacom tablet, and so it's a problem with InDesign when you use those, but I don't like using mice. All right, scale that up so it fits the box, and then I'm going to have to get this back down to 3 pixel width on the outline, and then we'll copy that and do our last panel. So, and in this is a good example because here, this I don't break the panel borders a lot, but I did here. So what I'm gonna do, actually I broke it twice here, I broke it down here too. So what I would do for this normally is I'm gonna do this. I'm actually gonna keep all of the regular borders within the frame here. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off, so I don't want that border, and then I'm gonna try and line this up with the border that's in the comic book. Okay. All right, and then so that's scaled pretty good. Okay, so you can see that there's a little problem here because we've got the line thickness here is a little thicker than what is in the actual comic, but you know, it's a minor problem that I don't really adjust. So then I'd probably just push it over to the other guideline here. And at that point, I would need to grab, so we've got this panel here, I would need to go back here and grab the next page, which, you know, I would grab this art, copy it, come back over, paste it in here, and keep going until I've got about 20 panels, give or take, within the episode. That's what I want to do. So right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 panels. So, you know, I'd repeat that process. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to go straight to the next phase, which is grabbing my word balloons. All right, let's hop back over here. Let's see. I want to lock up my artwork layer, and I want to unlock my word balloons. So now I don't grab all of my word balloons at once, and I'll show you why. I grab them one panel at a time. So I'll grab that, copy it, back over here. We want to make sure we lock up our artwork and unlock word balloons. And I'm going to paste. So here is our wordage, but word bubble, but it looks pretty small. So this is the trick I came up with. As I go here, I increase it 200% size. And then I'll go, because I want it even bigger, and I increase it another 150%. And that's just kind of, I'm sure there's a math where I could do it 350% or something, but that's just the quick way I'd resize it. And then that gives me an outline here of 3 pixels on this too. So that's kind of, so that kind of works out well. So then I'll either, you know, you can drop it right in the panel, or I've been kind of getting into the habit of doing something like that. So I actually been getting into the habit of breaking the border panel border with my word balloons for the web, and it's not something I do in the comic so much. As you can see, like here's an example where I cut the word balloon on the panel border, because I don't like in the comic, in the printed version, I don't want the word balloons breaking the panel border. But for some reason, after formatting these over and over again, I like, we've got more white space here. I like that. Let me turn this off for a second. And I like having the word balloons break the panel. It's just something I kind of stumbled across really while I was laying these out. So I'll grab everything in this panel next, copy it back over here, paste it, and then I'd do my 200% again, and then I'd go and do 150% and the increase. All right, and so what you'll see with the word balloons is the thickness is actually 2.25, and that's just where it comes from, because my thickness on the word balloon line and my headers, or you know, these location boxes are different sized in my InDesign file. So this is a problem that happens sometimes, is the last couple words doesn't scale up. So what I do is I come in and with my text tool, and I'll select all, Command A, and I will type in the numbers, and then everything pops up to the same size. Okay, so you can see I have my tails of my word balloons as a separate entity, and I'll show you how I do that in a second here, but I want to go ahead and fix this problem here. See the same problem with this word knot, and it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So I gotta fix that real quick. And all right, so, and now, you know, I could refer here and see where I put the word balloons, you know, and I always like to have my tails pointing right at their mouths as much as possible. And I don't want the word balloon covering up anything, you know, in the artwork that's important. So let's see. So both of these actually are supposed to go with this panel. But as you can see, when we scale these up to this size, which I like the font being at a 30 point for the web viewing, because you can see it on your mobile device better. So what I'll do probably for this is I'll put the first word balloon, you know, either here or maybe here. I don't know why I like to cover up the corners. And then this one, you know, maybe around here or something, or maybe even breaking the border down here. And so here's a trick in InDesign, which I like using for lettering, and maybe I'll do a video on how I lettered my comics in InDesign, but I believe it's Shift, Apple, or Command, and C. Well, hang on. Okay, take it back. It's Option, Command, C. And what that does is it shrinks the word bubble down as small as it'll go. And so here I'll undo that and then do it again so you can see what happens here. And it shrinks it down. I'll try it on this one too. Sometimes it doesn't do anything because it's already as small as I can go. But in this case, that worked too. And sometimes I might not like how things are stacked, so I still might come in and tweak it a little bit like that. I like that a little better. But that gives me the smallest word balloon possible for the words that are in there. And it's a quick way of doing it. And I like it a lot better than doing words in my word bubbles in, say, Photoshop, for instance. So maybe you can do these tricks in Photoshop. I'm better at InDesign than Photoshop, so that's why I use this program. So anyway, let's go ahead and grab the tail for this one. Ideally, I like to have the center point kind of going to the mouth of the character. So let's zoom in a little bit here. And you can see I'm on fast viewing because I have a slow computer, but I'll put it on high real quick here. Give us a little more definition on the drawing. Okay, so let me rotate this a little bit first, and then I'll move it over here, and then I'll select the direct selection tool, deselect everything, and then come back in and click just on that one dot, and then I'll move that a little closer to the border. And then I usually will grab this and then, you know, aim it right at the mouth as much as possible, something like that. And I don't necessarily need these lines to be right. Oop, grab that right. Let's see. I don't need these to be right on it like that. I actually like them not being right on it. I mean, it's close enough. It looks good to me, and it's the faster way to work. So back to the regular selection tool. Grab this, bring it down, and sometimes this might be below the word bubble. So you just got to object arrange, and then, you know, bring it to the front or bring it forward. But we're okay for now. So let's see here. Center of the balloon is about here. We want to pass to the mouth here. So let's rotate this a little bit. Get that about there. And then I tried to make the tail of the word balloon not cross over any major artwork. Like here, we're going over his feet, and that's probably all right. And if not, you're going to shrink the tail a little bit. But since it's so far away from his mouth, I want to aim it a little bit more. So that's pretty good. Then I'll zoom out here, and that looks pretty good. So the only thing I'm a little worried about is that this doesn't look like it. You know, this could be pointing at Floyd instead of Terrence over here. So, you know, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. But in that case, maybe I'll just go like that. Something like that. And so let's see, we're going to do one more page here and then call it a day. So okay, here's a good panel because this has got a sound effect, and this is a good example. So I'll copy this back over here. I'm going to turn my live area back on to give me some guides. Paste. Okay, so here's what I've got here. Let's scale it up to 100%. And now at this point, I don't want to scale the sound effect up any further, because if I did, here's what's going to happen. So now I scale it up by 150%, and it's just too big now. A lot of my sound effects go too big at that size. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to leave it where it is at that size, and then I'm going to continue making this 150% larger. Okay, looks like we've got this. See this little plus here? That means we've got some words that aren't showing. So we want to pull that out. And in this case, it was just these two little dash, or this one dash, so not much. All right, pull that out. Now you can see it. And we don't have the font size shrinking. Everything's at the same 30 point. So we're okay with that. What we do have is we have the cropped word balloon. So here's how I fix that. Is I will go and I will grab a round word balloon, copy it, paste it, and select this, copy, cut it out, select this all, and paste it in. And so I've basically taken this text out of this word balloon and put it into here. I'll come over here, delete that, and then move this back over here. And now you can see that this is actually, the word bubble is on top of the tail. So what I can do is grab the tail, go to Object, Arrange, and I want to send the tail forward, and it pops it up. All right, so zoom out again, and I want to let me take a quick look here. So Floyd is got the word balloon kind of coming around from here, but see, we can't really do that because with the newer size of the fonts, it's covering up some of the artwork. So in this case, I will probably do something like this, and then aim it towards his head. All right, and then maybe shrink this a little bit. Zoom in here. Okay. So something like that. Or what I will do is I will unlock the artwork layer over here, select everything, and kind of hold my shift key down while I shift everything a little bit to the right. And maybe let's go ahead and throw it about in the center there maybe. Let me turn my guides on. It's about in the center. Okay, and then let's see, let me lock up the artwork again. And then maybe I'll do something like move the word balloon to the other side of the artwork, and then move the tail accordingly. And in this case, I'm finding out, it's not the tail. Well, let me just finish this real quick. All right. The tail's kind of, I don't really like the tail coming out from the back. I kind of liked it better where it was. So I will probably move everything back to the other side. Something like that. And let's just undo what we had done here. Move everything back over this way. Lock up the artwork. And move my tail. Something like that. Okay. And so this is, this is pretty much how I move things around. And so like, let's pretend that I was done here. What I like to do is I switch my view to preview mode down here. And then I'll turn my live area off. And then, so now, you've got this white space that encompasses the rest of the artwork. And that's one reason I like the Webtoons format, is it gives some breathing space to the panels. And that's something that, as a graphic designer, I appreciate, and you don't really see that in comic books. And that, comic books is one of the only places to see really good art on a printed page, hand illustration art. And the problem I have with comic books is that it's so crammed in there, and there's no breathing space like a good magazine would have. Check out Dwell magazine is a good magazine that gives you an example of some of this white space in between the panels. But so let's see here. If we got a presentation, you can kind of see. Well, that's only got 2 pages here, but you kind of get the idea. And so there's your first panel, and then it just, I can't. Oh, maybe I can. Let's see if I can scroll. Well, it goes page to page, but anyway. That's pretty much how I do my layouts. And then when I'm done, if I've got all this filled in with the 20 panels and the word balloons, I like to look over everything and then maybe shift some things here and there, and maybe scale some things up and scale some things down depending on what looks right. And then I'll go to export, file export, and there is my slow computer. Okay, here we go. I'll select the JPEG format and give it a name here. And when I hit, and what I like to do is, this is my version 1, and then I put an underscore, and then it goes into the .jpeg. And what that does is, so when I hit save, I'm going to save all pages, and you can see my settings here. 72 DPI RGB, that's what you want. And that's pretty good. So we're going to export, and I'll go down here, and you can see the export progress if it's taking too long. And the beach ball is done spinning, so that means it's probably done. So what am I on here? Episode 15. So let me go find episode 15. And you can see here's the 10 pages. And what the cool thing is the first page, I just got to go in and rename it and put a 1 at the end there. And then they're all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 10. And so then when I upload these to Webtoons, then they're in order. So you can kind of see, and those are the 3 pages that we worked on, and then it goes down all the way to my end page there. So get back up real quick. So that's pretty much how I format them. And then the cool thing is these page sizes are like 152K. I mean, that's, it's pretty relatively small for what these are. So it's definitely web only. It's not, you're not gonna be able to print these files. They're gonna come out really pixelated. But for viewing on a website or on a mobile phone, they look really good. So that's about it for this episode. Hope you found some information helpful in here. And go to trepcomic.com and sign up for my mailing list. I'm hopefully going to print my TREP graphic novel this year. So you'll be notified when that goes to print. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.